thank them for being here and being supportive, and tell them a little bit about how something goes from a blank page to a novel.
So glad you could make it all today. Happy to have Ron here for the prequel of The Amendment Killer. He's here for the Puppet Master today. And this has been in the works for quite some time, so we're very welcome to have him here today. And his wife Barbie is going to say a few words as well. So we're glad you're here.
Two things. I'm Barbie Barak. I'm also known as, to the people that read Ron's occasional blogs, the wife.
We knew that.
And without further ado, I would like to introduce Ron Barak, the husband.
Very good. Hello, everyone. Thank you all for coming.
Put your mouth next to the microphone. It's hard to hear you.
Oh, okay. I'm already being told what to do. That's the wife's job, Barry.
She gave part of it to me.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so I want the royalty. Let's talk a little bit about what got me started on this journey of writing. And the answer in 2 words is the dare. But he said, if you're such a smart so-and-so, why don't you get out of the back seat and show us what you can do? And so I didn't have much time to respond, but being, hopefully a pretty decent lawyer, I quickly changed the subject and pretended I didn't hear the gauntlet being thrown down. But being a competitive personality as well, I came home and I told the wife that I thought I needed to write a novel. And I had no idea what that entailed. So I just started writing. And one of the nice things about that is I thought this thing that was going to be incredibly painful really turned out to be a lot of fun. Partially because I didn't know anything yet about writing, so I didn't sense how badly I was doing. And it was fun. It was therapeutic. So the question is, why do I write? And the answer is, really, that's easy. For those who don't already know me, I love to hear myself talk. So how better than to become a writer? Well, so far I have written, they're still standing, 3 novels, not a trilogy, but 3 novels in the Brooks Latello series. And they all involve standalone stories. You can read any one in any order, but they all have the same protagonists, Cyrus Brooks and Frank Latello. The first that came out was The Amendment Killer last November. The Puppet Master is the second. What we are celebrating here today, it actually will officially release January 8th, but Diesel has special limited editions of it that are available today. In The Amendment Killer, you kind of know who the players are early on in the story. You just don't know what the outcome is going to be. Will the amendment be upheld? Will the 11-year-old granddaughter survive? If she does, how will she get out of her pickle? In The Puppet Master, it is a classic whodunit. You have to read the book from cover to cover to get to the reveal. And then you have to say, wow, did Ron cheat me? Or were the clues all there? And I will represent to you that the clues are all there. the third book, coming out in about a year, is Payback. Payback is about a demented author of political and legal thrillers who is very unhappy with the literary community who he feels is not paying him enough attention. So he shows up at a week-long writers' conference patterned after a real one that I attend in New York every July, and people start dying. And Brooks is there. Why is a sitting judge at a writers' conference? Well, it's because his wife, Eloise, is tired of him always getting into trouble in his current occupation. So she decides he should become a novelist and go to a writers' convention and learn how. And she says to herself and all the readers, after all, what could go wrong at a writers' conference? And where is the contemporary legal issue? Well, you probably all know about the word transparency. The Catholic Church today is being criticized for a lack of transparency, all the way up to the Pope. In the gymnastics sports community, near and dear to my heart, we have a man who was the team doctor for our women's gymnasts competing internationally for 30 years. And he was sexually abusing them left and right. And people who could have done something about it and should have done something about it turned their back because it wasn't convenient to raise it. So you have the same issue at the University of Southern California, my alma mater, who has a gynecologist at the health center who was abusing women students coming to the health center. All of these were instances of transparency that were lacking. In Payback, the board of directors of the Writers' Conference knows that there is a killer loose. And there are 2,000 people registered at this event, and they're not being candid about it because they don't want to run on the bank. They don't want everybody leaving the event and wanting their money back. So that's how I choose my stories. How do I choose my characters? So it doesn't just happen randomly. If you focus for a moment on Eloise and Cyrus Brooks, there is a lot of Ron and Barbie in Eloise and Cyrus Brooks. Frank Latello, who is Brooks's partner in crime, has a lot of characteristics that match our son Mark. And one of the characters, both in The Amendment Killer and in The Puppet Master, is Frank Latello's daughter, Madison, who is patterned after Barbie's and my oldest granddaughter. So there is usually something there. In The Amendment Killer, which is a case that takes place in the Supreme Court, there are 9 Supreme Court justices. Each one of those Supreme Court justices is one of my golfing buddies at Brentwood Country Club. Now, I don't use their real names, but it's close enough. You don't have any trouble knowing who they are. Several of them are here today. So that brings me to one more character that I want to briefly talk about in The Puppet Master. Barbie and I have a good friend by the name of Bob Harrison. Bob has been a professional at Brentwood Country Club for years and years and years. I don't want to date him or me, but it's a long time. Bob and his wife Lissa and Barbie and I are good friends and have been for years and years. In 1991, testing my memory a little, Bob and his wife and Barbie and I and another couple went to the Ryder Cup matches on Kiowa Island. For those of you who golf, that is the ultimate in golf competition. And we're there, and we're out there the first day, actually a practice day before the 3 days of matches start. And we're behind the ropes in the galley, watching players come through playing their practice round. And along comes a match or a practice group that included Ray Floyd and Freddie Couples and Payne Stewart and Paul Azinger. And Bob is standing right next to me, and all of a sudden I hear him shout, "Stud!" Stud. He shouts, "Stud." More amazing than that, Ray Floyd stops on a dime out on the fairway, and he says, "Bobby H., where the hell are you? Get out here, boy." And Bob does, and he brings us with him, and he introduces us to Ray Floyd, who he grew up with and knew for years. And Floyd, consummate gentleman and a nice guy, not to suggest Bob isn't. He introduced us to the rest of the foursome, and we walked that whole round with them, no longer stuck back behind the ropes in the galley. We were right there on the fairway for the whole round. So, to give an example, which I'll explain more in a second, Bobby H., where the hell are you?
Ronnie B. Right here, pal.
Ah, there he is. So, Bob became a character in The Puppet Master, an example of how I will often pick my characters. I remember the event on Kiowa Island at the Ryder Cup very well. I mean, it is stuck with me. Edward Bauer, who is recording the audiobook for The Puppet Master, read a scene from the book between Frank Latello and Bobby Harrelson, who you just heard and briefly met.
Chapter 89, Monday, August 3rd, 4:30 p.m. Congressional Country Club was a different kind of eye candy, one of which Latello had never tired. Of course, someone not bitten by the golf bug might not understand. Still, he hadn't played since Beth's death. Latello slowed as he reached the guard gate. "Can I help you?" the guard politely inquired, not recognizing Latello as one of the members. "My name's Frank Latello. I'm a guest of Bobby Harrelson. He's expecting me." That wasn't so. It didn't matter. Latello knew Harrelson would cover for him if the guard checked. "Have you been here before? Do you know where to park?" "I have, and I do." "Okay, enjoy your visit." "Thanks." Latello dropped his car off with the valet and headed for the pro shop. "Hi, Bobby Harrelson around?" "He's finishing a lesson down at the driving range." "Thanks, I'll wander over there." "I can get someone to give you a ride if you'd like." "No, thanks. A walk will be nice." When he reached the driving range, Latello quietly took a seat and watched Harrelson finish his lesson. As the student walked off, Latello spoke up. "Bobby, how the hell are you?" Harrelson didn't even turn around. "Frankie L., get your ass out here. How you been, boy?" A rowdy, robust hug later, Latello said, "Bobby, I swear you look younger every time I see you. How do you do it?" "A lot of fresh air, a couple of rounds a week, some good food, some better drinks. How are Maddie and Charlie? How are you?" "I'm doing okay. Still missing Beth. Still adjusting. But we're getting there. Harrelson nodded. So for a smart-ass detective, you really aren't all that smart. I keep after you to come out and shoot around with me, and you show up at 4:30. Why? Forget when the sun sets around here? Hey, Bobby, I need some help, but it's not with my game. I'll take some of your money when I have a little more time. Can I buy you a beer? Your money's no good here, Bubba. I'm happy to buy you one, or two. I'll just go hit the grill. Clinking glasses 10 minutes later, Harrelson said, "Oh, maybe you're not so dumb after all, Frankie, talking all that trash about taking my money. But smart enough not to show up early enough in the day to have to back them words up. So, what can I do for my brother from another mother? I need to check out a guy by the name of Thomas Reston Thomas III. I think he was a recent guest here at Congressional. I'm looking to find out who hosted him." Thomas Reston Thomas III? Give me a break. That boy's mama weren't no friend of his. Can't say as I know the guy. I don't think I would forget a moniker like that. Do you know who hosted him? Well, actually, I think I do know who hosted him. What I want is to confirm what I think. You gonna tell me who the member is, or do I have to guess? Around 500 members here, Bubba. The member's name is Blaine Hollister. Do you know him? Yeah, I do. Wouldn't bother me none if I didn't. What's that? I've given him a few lessons, played a couple of rounds with him. He's not nearly as hot stuff out there as he thinks he is. For all his supposed money, it's amazing how he forgets to cover his losses. What's the connection between Hollister and Thomas? Well, that's what I'm trying to find out, Bobby.
I want to thank you again for coming and hope you will all go visit next door that away on an angle in Diesel and buy some books, and I'll come in there and sign them if you do. Thank you very much.
Here, let me go. Tony.
No, I was thinking of saying absolute.
Okay.
I got it. My card's on the other side.
She's got a business.
They're page turners. You just read one, and when you get to the end of that one little chapter, you got to get to the next chapter.
I was one of the characters in the book. Is that right? Yes, I was. That was interesting. I was one of the justices of the Supreme Court. Because I know the author, it was fascinating to me that a man like this that I know could write such a book, you know, and it was just, and I was glued to it, and I couldn't wait to finish. I couldn't wait to see how she got out of it. I knew she was going to get out, but I couldn't wait to see how it was.
Boys, thanks for coming.